Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We've been in business now going on 13 years. We have over 40 plus years of experience in aerospace, medical implants, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt with every industry. This video today is about former DOD manager exposes Boeing's culture of arrogance. Daryl Guberman explains. Yes, we're going to explain to you right now. We're not going to hold back. We have to explain to you. It's going to go, and you're going to find out that it's our own government that made Boeing arrogant, starting off at the CEOs at the different levels, everything else. The most amazing thing is that Boeing has over 200 plus vice presidents, and nobody raised their hand and said, "Hey, King, you have no clothes," meaning quality. Where's the quality, King? They never raised their hand. Remember the king who wore no clothes? I guess that's it, the little prince or something. You know, there was only one person who came out, a kid, I think. When the king came out, he hired a seamstress, and the guy was a fraud. Sewed it all together, supposedly, and the king walked out in his underpants. And then the guy says, "How does everybody like the king's new clothes?" Everybody started clapping, except this one kid came out and says, "You don't have any clothes on, Your Majesty." Well, that's the way Daryl Guberman feels many times, trying to tell the public about this, that Boeing was made a regulator in 2009 by the FAA. I'm going to show it to you. Boeing gave up supplier audits to a certification accredited by ANSI-ANAB, the American National Standards Institute, the American National Crediting Board. In 2002, they said, "Send in your certificate." Oh, as long as it's the ANSI-ANAB, because why? Boeing sits on their board. Not only do they sit on the board, they sit on the board of directors and the board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. The general public, they want to keep us stupid. Meaning that, how do you feel sitting on a plane and for 22 years, you don't know whether that part was made in a garage, in a swamp, in the desert, up in the sun? You don't know. So here we go. ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that has federal agencies and corporations on board. Sitting on ANSI's board is the American National Accrediting Board, ANSI or ANAB. In 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAB. They always had complete control, but now they kind of legalized it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They also, between the years of 2015 and 21, they were sitting on the IAF, which at that time in 2015 was handed over to a communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu. We're not going to get into that here. All the information, all the pertaining data to this will be down below in the description. Over in China, there are 10 different registrars that can issue an ANAB accredited certification. And sitting on ANSI-ANAB's board is 7 different registrars, actually 8. DEKRA is one of them. DEKRA is another one that sits on ANSI's management board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification just right over by Boeing. Right over by BSI registrars, BSI you see up here. Also, Intertek is the registrar of choice for Spirit Aerospace Systems that Patrick Shanahan most recently got promoted. He was a Deputy Secretary of Defense. When he was asked by an investigation, I guess, of Senate or Congress, they said, "Mr. Shanahan, how is the F-35 program?" And he said, "It's fucked up." Well, Mr. Shanahan, and down below the video, you'll find this. After their 801st aircraft, F-35, they're still producing them with rejections. And one of the worst things is that you have BSI that sits on ANAB's board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification, so they can sign off to cert and take it away. Another thing is, to tell you about this, ANSI-ANAB are underwriters. That means they take full legal responsibility for the International Accreditation Form, which is a repository for both national and international accreditation bodies, and also ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, which is a sister organization of the IAF. And here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let me turn that around for lesser glare. You can see it right over here. It says, ANSI-ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Form. And this is, the worst thing is that in 2018, when this solicitation number came out, China had already taken over. They were already in power on the IAF, and they're mandated. Zhao Jinwu, the Chinese national who was a chairman between 2015 and 21, is mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. Isn't that a tender moment? And this is what an underwriter does. I'm going to hold it there a second. I'm not going to read it for you. That should be enough time. Now we go on to Boeing. Boeing, it's a tender moment in a crashing world. The problem is that Boeing has a problem right now with accumulating tolerances. By them accepting just a piece of paper, as long as it's accredited by ANSI-ANAB, just a piece of paper that, here we're AS9100 certified for aerospace certification. Send that in, send your parts in, we don't have to come visit you. Nice, huh? Well, here it is. This is proof of the pudding. Here's Boeing over here. Sitting right over by their accreditation body. Is there oversight? Is there any integrity in the certificate? Absolutely not. And as I showed you, those other registrars sit over by the accreditation body that they throw on their certificate. In 2002, here's the supplier bulletin. Actually, here it is, but I made a Cliff Note version for myself to read to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to read this to you, but it basically says this, and I'm going to show it to you. You can take a look at that. That is the actual number. I'll hold it there. You can actually stop the video. They said this: your AS9100 certificate, send it to Boeing. Boeing checks it off, send us your parts, and Boeing doesn't have to send anyone out to your facility. And it appears since 2002 till now is 22 years. And then here we go. Here's the actual article about Boeing being made an FAA regulator. That means when it came to the MCAS system, I tell you again, that they didn't have to tell anybody anything. They are the FAA. Don't let anybody kid you. Where's this guy? He has no clue. Mike Whitaker, no clue. I feel sorry for Jennifer Homendi, the NTSB chairman, and it's a terrible thing. And then you have Merrick Garland, who really has no freaking clue. He's almost off the chart there, and he's the DOJ guy. How can these guys, DOJ, you're going to find out that the DOJ sits by Boeing. You've got the FAA who approved Boeing for FAA regulator. Yeah, and that's it. So we're going to continue on. And in fact, Boeing puts this on their supplier portal. It must be ANSI-ANAB or international equivalent. Isn't that a tender moment? Also, you have the factor, as they are an FAA regulator. I guess Boeing learned how to fudge documentation from the FAA since they are an FAA regulator. And here you go. And most recently, again, I bring this out to you, ladies and gentlemen, $8.1 million fine for fudging documentation at the composite facility, Bell Boeing composite facility for the V-22 Osprey, most recently. You have the FAA that sits on ANSI's board right over by Boeing. Oh, this is good. Here, the DOD guy who's, made reference that they're very arrogant. Why, the DOD sits over by Boeing. Isn't that a tender moment? And of course, you have the Department of Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it here. I think this is good enough. We're going to have the rest of the data down below the video. And remember this, a Confucius statement: it is not the drop of water that wears away the mighty stone, but it is its persistence. And ladies and gentlemen, business owners, my fellow citizens, our wonderful news media does not want you, the public, to know that Boeing was made an FAA regulator. Nobody knows who were the team on the Ethiopian Air and Indonesian Air. The law firms didn't know that they were a regulator. They knew that they lightened up a little bit, the FAA restrictions a little bit, but they were definitely made a regulator. So that means David Calhoun in 2019, when he became the CEO, he's actually an administrator. Nobody knows. The lawyers of the Alaska Air, they don't know either. I've been trying to tell them. I've been informing them, but we will see what happens. If they really want to get justice done, they have to get in touch with me, Daryl Guberman. We've got it all. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, DARYL, TQRS @yahoo.com. And I thank you.